You're preparing to listen to an episode that was recorded in Mexico. And unfortunately, the recording is not as pure as I would like it to be. My AirPod Max headphones were on, and I believe the recording was being taken through those. So there's a lot of ambient noise. Forgive me for that. Let's move on to the episode. All right, test 1, 2. We're live. All right, here in Mexico, I think the last podcast, if you've listened to any of them, there's only 2 so far. I was talking about the house that we bought in Mexico and the story behind that. Well, we've been in Mexico for the last 3 months. It's currently April 22nd, I believe, 2023. We've been here effectively for nearly 3 months now, and almost non-stop been working on a complete remodel of the house that we bought here. We've had workers at our house since the first week of arriving. Pretty wild story in and of itself. You might know other countries, even in the US, especially other countries, can be quite difficult finding workers to get in place quickly and efficiently. Even if you find somebody, they might not show up for 2 to 3 weeks. So, miracle in and of itself that we were able to get started within week 1. Start tackling demo and more idea mode, painting, preliminary things, and then diving into further things as the weeks went on. But all that to say, workers have been here for coming on 3 months straight, 6 to 7 days a week. It's been a blast. Some of you might laugh when I say that, but really we've enjoyed, I would say, every minute of it. I mean, there can be frustrating moments, like anything else, but relatively speaking, those moments have been very, very few. And again, thankful for that, because you just never know. Depends on who you're working with. Various situations, circumstances as they come, no matter where you're at, you all know that. So it's been relatively easy, pain-free, frustration-free for the most part. Walking around the community right now, every time I walk by this house, this dog loves to bark at me. He's friendly though. So we're winding down these 3 months and plan to leave on Monday. Today is Saturday. Plan to leave Monday morning in the RV, taking off, heading towards Tucson. And instead of going through Phoenix, we plan to take a left. I guess that would be going west towards San Diego. I believe it's the 8 freeway. We've never taken that before. And then we'll come in the back way that we've never tried, where we'll come through San Diego and then up through Orange County into Huntington Beach. So that's the plan, leaving Monday. We're ready to leave. In one sense, we said last night, it'll be hard to leave in one way, because we've really grown to love it here. 3 months is long enough to not only get familiar with a town, a community, a group of people, but when you have really, felt a connection with that town, with that group of people, there'll be an aspect that will be hard to leave. It's a very livable town. It's a very fun, vibrant town. Culture, of course, is totally different. Being in Mexico, this is not a tourist-driven town. This is very much more of an authentic Mexican seaside town with amazing restaurants, lots of growth happening, which is always fun. I mean, there's good and bad to that, I guess. A lot of people don't want anybody to find out about this place because almost everybody you talk to says the same thing. It's the best kept secret in all of Mexico. San Carlos, Sonora, Mexico. And I would agree. We've traveled a lot all around the Caribbean and I want to say around the world, but it's not like a lot of spots that we haven't hit, that's for sure. But we've done our fair share, seen a lot of places, a lot of amazing places, amazing islands, places in Mexico. And this is where we bought a house. That says something. It just makes sense. It's just that place that everything ends up intersecting, and it's a place that you feel like you can really connect with. And it's nice. It's got the aspect of being able to drive here, fly here, have a lot of freedom there, and bring dogs with you. Park your RV in this particular community where we have chosen to live. Drive your RV in and put it in park, plug it in, and go inside your house and let your dogs play in the courtyard. So for us, it's perfect. So there will be an aspect that will be, I would say, difficult to leave. But then there's, of course, the other aspect of we're excited to be back in Huntington. We're excited to be back in our home. But more than any of that, we're excited to see our kids and their spouses, I was going to say sister-in-law, our daughter-in-law, and our son-in-law, Faith and Seth. We miss them, and we've said to people, if they ever agreed to move to Mexico with us, we'd honestly very much consider just coming here and living full time. Don't see that happening, folks. Don't see that happening. So for us, it'll be back and forth. But feeling connected here has been a huge bonus. I mean, obviously, not only a bonus, it's a requirement. If you're going to make a commitment in a particular town, a particular community, you've got to feel a connection and a commitment to it, wanting to be a part of it. And again, I would say we definitely have felt that. I know I have felt that. I know my wife has felt that. And even in the community that we live in, which is called Tecali. So there's a town that's super sick and quaint and really just artsy and great restaurants and amazing beaches and terrain and everything else. But then the actual housing community we live in is called Tecali. And it's, put it this way, we're, I would say, by far the youngest couple here. You know, everybody looks at us like, okay, how are you guys here at this point in your life? We're 49 years old at this point. I'm recording this. 50 next year. Dang. Crazy. And most people here, I would say the average age in Tecali, that is if I had to run the numbers real quick in my head, I would put the average age at about 79, maybe 80, right in that range. That would be the average age. So you've got 91-year-olds, you've got some 60-ish year olds. So we're these young cats that have moved into town, and it's been fun. We didn't know, honestly, how it would go. Before coming this trip, we hadn't been here during a busy season, which would be for this community, for Tecali, and a lot of different parts of the town itself, because it in many ways has some similarities to like Phoenix, where a lot of people just come here for the winter, for their winter in Canada, or their winter in Colorado, cold parts of the U.S. And then they take off and they go back for the summer to their other house. So we hadn't been here for a season yet, you would call, of all the snowbirds being here. And in this community in Tekalai, there's a lot of snowbirds. There's only a few people that live in Tekalai full time. And so we didn't know how it would go. Would it be super awkward? Would we be accepted being these young cats coming in? We knew the community was definitely on the older side, but we hadn't met. Basically, we'd only met maybe one or two people up to that point, so we didn't know. But I have to say, we ran into, a few things here and there, which I could spend one podcast on one of those stories, but for the most part, 98%, 99%, we have not only been accepted, but we've just been loved on and cared for. And one of the comments we've made, which is so fun to see play out, you've got, let's say, 91-year-old down the street, or 85-year-old down the street, and we're sitting here at 49 in the same community, and there would be a part of you that would think, oh man, that's going to be a bummer, if you're 49. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but is there going to be any connection at all, And in fact, what you find out real fast, and we had thought about this before we came, but it definitely played out this way. In fact, what's crazy, what's fun to see is, no matter the age, 49, 85, 91, there's this similarity of mentality. If you're a 91-year-old and you're still coming to Mexico every winter, you have a spirit about you. I don't care your age. There was a 100-year-old or 101-year-old woman that was across the street from where our house is at. She died this last winter, but she was 100 years old. If you have, no matter your age, if you have the wherewithal and the vision and the ability and the desire and everything else that it might take to come here every winter, and 99% of people in America think that you're gonna show up in Mexico and get shot by the cartel, which is a whole new story. It's hilarious, by the way. If you think that, it's hilarious. It's not true. So while we've been here, there have been more shootings in America by far, in places that you would have visited: schools, bars, where else? In a dance studio. Here, there might have been shootings, but they're between cartel members. You don't know anything about them. They're in some far-off place that media wants to pick up on. Whole nother story. Don't get me on that rant. If you think it's unsafe here, I would say you're more unsafe where you live in America. I don't care where you live, in many aspects, than what you are if you were to live here in San Carlos full time. Now, if you were to go live in some other, gang-infested, cartel-infested, super crazy, gnarly part of a town here that you could, drive to 30 miles away or 40 miles away, that might not be the best place to go live in Mexico, because you're going to end up in the middle of a bunch of cartels trying to fight for space, and that's what they do. They're basically fighting against each other for the ability to sell drugs within particular zones. And one person, see, I'm already on the rant. I'll end it here, but one person said, I think they said it well. So the only difference is America has one cartel and Mexico has many cartels. So the Mexico cartels fight against each other. America has a cartel. It's just they don't fight against each other. They just allow the drugs to come in. And who knows, I don't want to say our government's part of it. I don't think they are. But there's sure channels that aren't being shut down and can't be shut down very easily. And in a sense, there's a cartel that happens in all the small towns in America. It's just they don't fight against each other. But we have gangs. Let me say one more thing. The cartel here would be, in a sense, the equivalent to gangs in any big city or even sometimes small town in America. Those gangs fight against each other for dominion or for zone to keep, the peace in their area. They want control of that area, right? That's what gangs do. So typically gangs will fight against each other. One gang, it used to be the Crips and the Bloods, in LA, probably still is. The Crips will fight against the Bloods. Well, is that something that you really are that concerned about? Because you're not a part of the Crips and you're not a part of the Bloods and you don't even know anybody that's part of the Crips or part of the Bloods. Do you really worry at night that the Crips are going to come to your door and kill you? Of course not. It makes no sense. It's the same thing here. You're not part of the cartel. You're not a part of... Now, if you're buying drugs or selling drugs, whole different story. You better be scared in Mexico because they will kill you. They're not scared to do that because you don't invade their space. But if you're just an average person, not using drugs, not selling drugs, not trying to buy drugs, you really think that the cartel is going to come to your door and kill you at night? Nope. Hate to tell you. Not going to happen. Nor are they going to rob you. In fact, I've been told that the cartel will even take care of people that do the robbings a lot of times in particular zones because they want to keep their zone safe. They actually sometimes police their zone for people that are not in the cartel and they're just, stealing things out of trunks or whatever else. They'll actually take care of that person because they're wanting to keep their territory kind of safe for people to come into so that drugs can continue to move smoothly. All right, enough on that. If you're not coming to Mexico because you're scared of the cartel, yo crazy. I'm just telling you. It's all a lie. It's hilarious. All right, what was I saying? I went on the rant that I said I wasn't going to go on. So, mentality. So whether you're 91, 85, or 101, there's this similar mentality that's here. So we got here and we didn't know how we would be accepted. And in fact, like I said, not only were we accepted, we were incredibly loved. And, people bringing us fish that they caught. People catch like 25, 35 fish in a couple hours out in the Sea of Cortez in the morning. I was invited to go with some guys a number of times. We've been crazy this trip. But they would bring us fish, all cut up and invite us to fish fries. And, community does all kinds of events. They want us to come to every event, which I'm not a big event people or not a big event person, I guess. But, so I kind of, I don't want to say steer clear of the events, but, we showed up to a few of them. We want to be a part of that. But if you know me, I'm sorry if you invite me to an event. Don't be offended if I don't come. It's just I don't like that stuff. It's just how I'm wired. Talk to me one-on-one. I'll talk your ear off. Be fun. Get to know you. Hear your story. It's all good. I don't like events. So they just have loved us. And the common thread, again, I'm trying to get to in all of this, is there's this mentality among us that is the same. When they were 49, they had this same mentality that we have at 49 or something similar. So something drove them, many of them, to come at 49, 50, 55 years old and decide they're going to buy a house in Mexico and they're going to make this a part of their journey, their life, their family. And that is enough to tie people together. And I guess what I mean by that is that some people have that mentality this way of thinking, this way of living that is outside of the American box of safety and protection. The cartel goes into all that, but also I think just how we enclose ourselves in this American bubble, and all kinds of other things go into that, play into that. But there's so many people that miss out on the rest of the world. They miss out on living this adventurous lifestyle that they either think they aren't able to do financially, or they're scared to do, or whatever it might be. You might be one of those people. My challenge would be, my challenge is get rid of that and begin to live the way that you really desire to live. You only live once. It's not just a saying. It's true, man. But I also believe that I could say that till I'm blue in the face to many people, maybe to you, and there's just a part of you that is stuck, that you just can't do it. It's a mentality. The mentality isn't there. Just like what I talk about being an entrepreneur. You can try to be an entrepreneur, but you either are an entrepreneur or you're not an entrepreneur. I hate to tell you. You can try, and you can maybe look the part, but inside there's something that is striving, something that is like, I'm digging, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Well, I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I can't help but be an entrepreneur. I think that's a serial entrepreneur to me is someone that just can't help but be it. It's not trying to be it. It's you can't help but be it. The same is with this mentality of living. You can't not live that way. That's different than trying to live that way. Does that make sense? Like, I can't not live this way. But the point that I'm making is that everyone around us here, no matter the age, they can't help but live this way. It's not something that they tried to do. I mean, at some point in time, they took the jump in to live that way, and many of them have traveled the world, and this is kind of where they've ended the end of their life. They've got story after story after story, and you have to take a step, but it wasn't a difficult step, I guess. It's a mentality that exists within the person, at the gut of who we are, that we just live that way. We can't help but live that way. And so we're surrounded by this group of people in Tecali, in this housing community, but also in the community as a whole in San Carlos, because you've got a ton of people that come in. You've got about 50%, 60% that the Mexicans own, these amazing properties, and this is their beach, and you get to be a part of their life and their restaurants, and just epic, vibrant community. But then you've got another 40, 50% that are, Canadians or US or Europeans own properties, throughout. And the whole community, the community as a whole has this vibrance about it. And a lot of that, again, is the spirit that I'm referring to, that is just this adventurous, fun, exciting, travel-induced spirit that all of us share, no matter the age that we are. When you go over to the beach, you're walking past an 85-year-old woman with her dog. Well, yeah, she's 85, but she's been coming here for 25 years, and we're at 49 with our 3 dogs, and there's this bond that's there that I get you. The fact that you've been coming for 25 years and you walk your dog on the beach, do you get, I don't know, I hope you get what I'm saying. You either, if you are what I'm talking about, you get what I'm saying. If you aren't what I'm talking about, you probably have no idea what I'm saying. And it sounds like a lot of gibberish, and I'm sorry. But that 85-year-old woman, we get her and she gets us. And there's a bond that's there. That's pretty amazing. So we're preparing to go home on Monday. It will be hard to leave, but it will be amazing to get back to Huntington with our kids. But here's the cool part. Since it will be hard to leave, it will be exciting to come back. You want a place, right? that's hard to leave. We've talked about that before. My wife and I, I'm saying. Like if this wasn't like if we were leaving on Monday and it was like, oh my goodness, this is the easiest place to leave and on the planet. Dang. Well, then you might as well go ahead and put the house up for sale because you don't love it. Why would you want to come back? But when it's hard to leave, it's exciting to come back to. That's the kind of place that you want. It's the kind of place that we have been looking the last 20 years for. San Carlos, Sonora, Mexico. It's a place. We love it. Can't wait to come back. All right, that's the story for now. We'll get more stories on the books real soon. Love you guys. I'm out.